Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity. And since this is one of our first hybrid meetings, I would just like on a personal level, because I worked alongside her at the Council of Europe and highly satisfactorily, to welcome to our team Miss Emma McCarran. She worked with me on the Council of Europe and worked in the Irish team there with great effect and great impact, and I think it's wonderful that we have somebody with that experience and ability on our team now. So I want to welcome you, Minister, to the meeting and your officials obviously, and to say that the handling of the UN role is extraordinarily satisfactory, and I won't repeat all the detail that you have there, but I think you're doing an extremely good job, and Ireland is, and you graciously recognise the role of our 50 young people, as you say, our civil servants over there. So that's all good, and I want to recognise that. I personally, and it's important to me, as it's important, as you said yourself, to every Irish person. I'm delighted with your passionate commitment to the Middle East and your continuous visiting there and pursuing it. I think that's of such importance. To run through a few questions specifically, I understand, Minister, that Afghanistan, and you referenced it in your speech or in your presentation, Afghanistan is going through extraordinary economic turmoil at the moment and almost dysfunctional economically at a certain level. That's my understanding. I'll stand corrected if I'm wrong there. And I was wondering what opportunity that might present for the international community to insist on women's rights and enhance women's rights there. And since Afghanistan has gone, if you like, down a bit in the news latterly, by virtue, it's no longer a big issue in the news, as news keeps changing, as we all understand in this room. Maybe I'd like to hear what you would say are the current issues on in Afghanistan, how you see it generally. I'd like a comment on it. I'd like, in relation to the Middle East, I won't repeat the points you made. I think it's great, it's a priority with you. I agree with you. I don't think the Irish people, nor do you, Minister, I know, think the Irish people are anti-Semitic, but I certainly agree with you about the targeting of people online, and certainly our Jewish community should not feel any sense of insecurity in the country, and yet we can be very honest with them. I would suspect that a lot of the Jewish diaspora or Jewish people living here and elsewhere outside of Israel are quite embarrassed about a lot of the issues that we discuss here. I agree with you about the non-governmental organisations. I think that's terrible, and I think it's important that we stay with them until, as you say yourself, there's evidence to the contrary. And there clearly isn't, so it's important that we go on funding and we go on working with the non-governmental bodies there. I'd be interested just if you were to comment, you referenced in your presentation the elections in Palestine and the hope to get elections there. You might comment a little more on what's happening there. And last thing I'd ask you about the Middle East, do you detect in this government a lack of, in this particular Israeli government, because of the nature and the complex nature of it and the disparate nature of it, do you detect within it a lack of willingness or a lack of a priority of the peace process? And if you do, can we change that? And if you don't, when would you see hope there? I suppose we're all interested in the Iranian nuclear deal. You did allude to it. You are following it very closely. And there's not a lot we can say, only that we hope it works. And maybe might say what are your instincts around it at the moment. On Ethiopia, I'd like to ask you about access for humanitarian aid there. If you could comment, Minister, on actual access for humanitarian aid. And it's very depressing to hear you're saying that we are on the point of civil war. And again, as you say, we're involved with access in Syria, and you might comment there. I just have a couple of very, very quick things now, Chair, to finish with. In China, when you did reference China, and I'm not going to go on the individual case that Deputy Berry dealt with and that you responded to, but it's very concerning to all of us here, the media reports about the Uyghur Muslim people there, and I don't know what information your department is there, but if the media reports are true, we're back to a very dreadful situation that will be, and future generations will talk about what we didn't do about it. And of course, I agree with you, Minister, and with everyone who referenced Belarus. And you say there's a 5th round of sanctions. That's all to the good. I was watching the television coverage, as some of us, all of us probably were last night, on the Polish border, and it's very, very distressing. Can I just, as a border person, lastly, Chair and Minister, say that I welcome your very clear statement on Brexit, and to say that the British government and indeed a lot of politicians in the north of Ireland are out of kilter with the business community there, with the ordinary people on this one. There's a divergence there. The ordinary people feel very differently about this question. The business community feel very different. Civil society, in fact, politicians are way behind the curve on this one. People, anyone rational in Northern Ireland wants normal trading relationship and wants to have the advantage of the greatly increased North-South trade that we're delighted about, and to be fit to trade east-west in a smooth fashion. So I welcome what you've said there, and it would be a nightmare scenario for the part of Ireland that I come from, were we to go back to open hostilities and a breakdown of the agreement there, the trade, the TCA, and a breakdown of the protocol on Article 16. So thanks for, I find the report encouraging in that Ireland's so proactive, and you are, Minister, and yet a lot of its contents are quite disturbing in where we're at on a number of questions. So I'm interested in your responses. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Senator.